Welcome back to U.S. Farm Report. Trusted, timely, tradition.
If you're currently debating whether to lock in fall fertilizer prices right now, you are not alone. Key fertilizer prices have been in a bit of a free fall this year. From the peak in 2022, prices today look much different, and it's forcing farmers to take a serious look at locking in what they can, even as they try to navigate the possible outcome of this year's crop.
We're going to walk into the one part of the field where there's actually some corn.
The view from the road gives glimpses of production problems for Kyle Samp.
These outside rows, this is what I would expect it to look like as dry as it's been.
But walk deeper into his central Missouri fields.
The thing that really is amazing to me walking out here is normally when we would be this dry, you know, these plants are still green from top to bottom.
And these green plants are deceiving. Peel back the husks on ear after ear.
That's not going to make much corn. We'll be lucky to even get any of that in the combine. And we've got an ear here that this one pollinated, kind of. So we've got a lot of misses on part of it. We got plants right next to it that, you know, the silks are starting to dry up.
And you'll find proof that Mother Nature has been extremely unkind.
It's pretty widespread for us. I don't think I have a single field that I don't have some issues in, to varying degrees.
As you can see, the drought is diminishing his outlook for harvest.
You know, we have a few kernels on this year, but by and large, we didn't pollinate at all.
And the pollination problems were hidden until just a couple weeks ago.
It was probably about 10 days ago. We started kind of checking a few ears to see what we had out here, and it was like, man, this doesn't look good, and started checking more. And before it was all said and done, you know, we were out in every field kind of seeing what we had, and 10 days ago was kind of a bad day.
The realization was a bit of a gut punch for Samp, especially considering he didn't spare expenses on inputs.
We were one good rain away from having some corn, and we went ahead and, you know, we had already put fungicide on corn. The forecast looked good for some rains that never materialized.
Samp and other farmers planted what could be one of their most expensive crops ever this year between inputs and other inflation-fueled necessities on the farm. And it wasn't until spring until some of those input prices started to fall.
Now we look at nitrogen prices, some of the big ones, ammonia, 28 UAN products, 30 to 50% lower than where we were last year.
Ohio State's Barry Ward tracks prices of inputs and other farm expenses.
From my data, anhydrous ammonia come down about 50% since last year at this time, about 30% since March. The least is the phosphorus fertilizer products, right around 20%.
The price shift was sudden, and something Rabobank's Sam Taylor has also been tracking.
If you look at the affordability index, it is gone from being atrocious last year, you know, that ratio to the price of fertilizers to the underlying commodity, to actually one of the best it's been in decades.
According to this affordability index from Rabo, Taylor says the wholesale price of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash has gone from last year's sticker shock when NPK prices were the highest since 2008 to now dropping to the lowest since 2004.
There is supply, there is inventory. So farmers shouldn't necessarily, unless something goes cataclysmic in the world, shouldn't see a huge price correction.
According to FarmDoc Daily's look at recent fertilizer price trends, major fertilizer products in Illinois began increasing in 2021 and peaked in the second quarter of 2022. That includes anhydrous ammonia topping out at $1,635 per ton last June and falling to $870 per ton last week. That's a 47% drop in just over a year. FarmDoc Daily shows the price of urea fell 50% during that time, and liquid nitrogen is down 22%. Ward says the sharp decline for key fertilizer products is driven partially by falling crop prices.
There's a high correlation there. Crop prices, as they move, fertilizer prices tend to follow. It's not always a perfect correlation.
He says lower commodity prices can cause some farmers to second guess the amount of fertilizer they buy. But the other major driver, the price of natural gas.
We saw that really fall out in both North America and Europe throughout the winter. Milder winters that was part of the driver. So those lower natural gas prices were a key feature and a key factor in not only nitrogen prices, but also helping to soften some of our phosphorus fertilizer prices.
This chart from FarmDoc Daily shows the correlation between natural gas and corn commodity prices and the price of anhydrous ammonia. Just like fertilizer prices, natural gas prices also peaked last summer. With ample supplies, it's now a question of if input prices stay relatively low through fall.
It's tricky because there are a lot of fundamentals at play and some that we really can't sort out. The whole Black Sea region, nitrogen, phosphorus fertilizer coming out of Russia, that kind of an issue that was better and now it's likely going to be worse. So that even though we don't get a lot of product in North America directly from those sources, a lot of that flows elsewhere. It does impact the overall global supply that impacts global prices.
Ward says if growers are locking in fall fertilizer prices, he's also suggesting to get some crop sales on the books as other costs are forecast to climb.
With fertilizer being a little bit lower, crop chem, crop protection easing a bit, there's still this issue of escalating cash rents across the Midwest that are going to put pressure on growers.
For Samp, drought is the biggest concern for the corn today, but his hope is now turning to soybeans.
I don't see a scenario where we can average 100 bushels on this farm, farm wide. I think we're probably looking more in the 60, 70 bushel range, assuming, we do get a few rains here and there in August.
As 2023 seems to be a roller coaster and one riding on every forecast.
I don't know, it's been a bizarre year. I say that every year, but this is another one.
Ward says geopolitical issues are the biggest wild card for fertilizer prices, including the phosphate countervailing duty cases and ongoing issues with both Russia and Morocco. He says that's still causing some issues in the phosphorus fertilizer markets here in the U.S. All right, what about grain demand and meat demand? We'll talk about that in our marketing roundtables next.